You know the dream, right? Starting a business with your best friend. You're sitting around, spitballing ideas, and suddenly it hits you. Hey, we should do this together. It's such an exciting thought. But the reality, well, that dream can turn into an absolute nightmare and way faster than you'd think. So let's get into why so many of these partnerships just crash and burn, and more importantly, how you can build one that actually lasts. It's a brutal truth, isn't it? This quote just hits the nail on the head. All that amazing energy and trust you start with can just vanish. And suddenly you're not friends anymore, you're enemies. That journey from sharing a vision to fighting in a courtroom is shockingly short. So what's really going on here? Well, it's something we can call the partnership paradox. The big idea is that a buddy-style partnership, the kind that's all informal and feels super easy, almost always leads to a messy, painful, enemy-style breakup. Let me show you exactly what that looks like. And here you can see the paradox in full effect. On the left, that's how it starts, right? It's all built on feelings, good vibes, and this unspoken trust. You just assume everyone has the best intentions. But look at the right side. That's how it ends. It's cold, it's legal, it's formal. We're talking lawsuits, friendships totally destroyed, and these bitter fights over every single dollar. The informal beginning is literally what sets the stage for a brutal formal ending. And listen, this isn't just a theory. This stuff happens all the time. Just look at the real-life story of the Sun brothers. In '96, they started a securities firm, a classic family business. And you know what? They crushed it. They grew the company to over 200 million RMB. But then what? Success happened, and they started to disagree, big time, on where to take the company. Because they had no formal way to settle a dispute, things just escalated until they were literally in court, with one brother having to buy the other out for millions. Their family connection couldn't save the business. So how do you avoid this trap? It really starts with a huge shift in how you think about it. The foundation of a business that lasts isn't friendship. It's a shared commitment to being professionals. You have to see your partner as a business person first, not just your pal. The legendary investor Wu Shuai just puts this perfectly. If you try to build a company on top of your friendship, you're probably going to wreck both. But if you build a solid business based on shared goals and clear rules, a real, lasting professional brotherhood can actually grow out of that success. The business has to come first. This brings us to probably the single most important concept for any partnership. This idea of the contract spirit. It's the principle that having formal agreements, writing down the rules, and having clear responsibilities, that's not a sign you don't trust each other. It's the ultimate sign of respect. It means you value the business and the friendship enough to protect it from all the messy human emotions and assumptions. If you want a masterclass in this contract spirit, you have to look at how Leon Hong, the founder of Baidu, brought his good friend Xu Yong into the business. He knew Xu was the perfect guy for the job, but what was the first thing he did? He didn't just start pitching his grand vision over a beer. No, the very first thing he did was put a non-disclosure agreement on the table for his friend to sign. Only after the paperwork was done did they start talking business. It wasn't about being awkward, it was about being professional. It set the entire tone for what became a massively successful partnership. So, with all that in mind, how do you pick the right person? Look, it's not about finding a friend you like to hang out with. It's about finding the right fit. You want someone with complementary skills. If you're the tech wizard, you need the sales guru. You absolutely have to share the same core values and vision. And critically, you need someone who not only has the passion to get started, but also the patience to see it through when things get tough. Okay, we've nailed the mindset. Now let's get into the mechanics. Because the single biggest thing that causes fights in a partnership is ownership. Let's talk about how to design an equity blueprint that stops the disaster before it can even begin. And here it is, the number one mistake, the classic trap so many partners fall into because it just feels fair. The 50-50 split. It feels equal. It feels nice. But in reality, it is a ticking time bomb. This slide shows you exactly why. That 50-50 split means that when you eventually have a major disagreement, and you will, you're at a total deadlock. Nothing can move forward. The famous Chinese restaurant chain Zengong Fu is a perfect and tragic example. Two founders, related by marriage, split it 50-50. When their personal relationship fell apart, the company was completely paralyzed, and one founder actually ended up in jail. Now compare that to the stable structure. One founder has a clear majority so they can break a tie and make the final call. And there's a piece reserved for future key employees or investors. It just works. So this really comes down to 4 basic principles. 1, a founder has to have control. Somebody needs to be able to make the final decision. 2, never split equity equally. It just invites gridlock. 3, remember that equity isn't just about who put in the most money. It's about skills, resources, and ongoing commitment. And finally, and this one is so important, equity has to vest over time. Nobody should get all their shares on day one. You earn them by sticking around and building the company. The founders of Tencent use this model, and it's a huge reason they were able to navigate their own challenges and build an absolute giant. Okay, so you've got the right partner, you've got a smart equity structure. Awesome. But now you have to actually work together, day in and day out. For that, you need an operating system for your partnership. You need some rules for how you're going to rule together. This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? If you can't answer this for every single key part of your business, you don't have a plan. What you have is a future argument just waiting to happen. To solve this, you need what are sometimes called the 3 heavenly rules. Rule 1, a clear division of labor. Who owns product, who owns sales? Write it down so there's no confusion. Rule 2, a clear decision hierarchy. Maybe partner A gets the final say on marketing, but partner B has the final say on tech. And rule 3, maybe the most important, absolute financial transparency. The story of a failed weight loss clinic run by 2 friends is a perfect cautionary tale. They didn't track their money well, so when cash got tight, they started suspecting each other of shady dealings. The whole thing fell apart in mistrust, even though the business was actually making money. All right, we've covered finding a partner, splitting the ownership, and setting the daily rules. Now it's time for the last and maybe the most professional step of all. I know it sounds negative, but it's the absolute key to stability. You have to plan for the end, right from the very beginning. And why is that? We'll get a load of this number from a Harvard study. That's the percentage of founders who are eventually forced out of their own companies. Nearly half. Just assuming you'll be partners forever isn't a strategy, it's a fantasy. This is why every mature professional partnership needs an exit mechanism. Think of it as breakup rules. And look, this is not a sign of failure, it is a sign of ultimate professionalism. It's a calm, rational plan you make when you're all still friends that lays out exactly how a departure is going to be handled, no matter the reason. So what actually goes into a plan like this? Well, first, that vesting schedule we talked about. Second, a super clear process for how the company can buy back a partner's shares if they leave, and at what price. And third, it has to cover those tricky life events. The IPO of the video site todo.com was famously held up for months because the founder's ex-wife sued for a piece of his stock during their divorce. It was a mess they never planned for. A good exit plan covers all these just-in-case moments. So let's end on this final thought. Have you talked about how you'll break up? Because talking about it isn't pessimistic. It's the exact opposite. It's the ultimate act of confidence. It's a sign that you're building something real, something professional, and something that is designed to last, no matter what happens. The most successful partners aren't the ones who just hope for the best. They're the ones who plan for the worst. Together.